Good to go. Okay. Well, it was back to work today. Got a lot of things done this morning with the short week, and appreciate the effort of our guys after digesting the tape from last week. Similar to what we felt during the game, momentum swings. There's some really good plays out there, in really all three phases, and some things to definitely clean up. The punt block by Josiah was obviously huge. I'm just really proud of that guy, the way he's worked, continued to grind, and he's been a factor for us on special teams and not getting disappointed because he hasn't been a huge factor yet offensively. So that play stands out in a big way to us. And I thought defensively, shored some things up in the second half, played really well, gave us a great chance to win the game, and getting some stops in the red zone obviously were huge. And then offensively, I did think the O-line did some really good things in the run game, opened things up for Jamar. Jamar has a really good game with two explosive plays that changed the game. Talked about wanting to start fast, and obviously got that done offensively in the first. So, again, just like each week, taking a look, there's some things to get better at, and we're going to need to do it because we got a big time team coming in here, a really good football team, just like it feels like each week. But a great challenge, and I know our guys are excited about it to be able to play a little bit on a short week, playing the Ducks, who have been playing really well, and obviously you guys can see it by their record right now. So, with that, I'll take some questions.
Jonathan, you guys were able to the defense was able to get in the backfield a lot more against Cal than your previous two games. What changed, or they're just making the step forward each game, or?
I do think we're making steps each game defensively. Some of that was schematics of the movement, D-line and linebacker movement, along with winning some one-on-one matchups. And so that's what you're looking for, some progression to always improve. And I think we've done that in getting into the backfield after the third game. And we're going to need to do it again playing these guys.
You guys were able to keep Garbers kind of under wraps. He didn't really, get loose on, running the ball. And Oregon's kind of got the same sort of quarterback. I guess that make you feel good going into this game, knowing you can.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different schematically, and you're right. Garbers could extend the play a bunch. He did a couple of times. I know one of them on third down, we let him loose, and he converted there. But for the most part, kept him in the pocket, which he was overly effective. I mean, a guy threw for 300 yards. So the schemes are different that you're facing here. Cal compared to the Ducks. That quarterback is athletic. He can throw it, make plays with his feet. That creates some problems for a defense when you got threat like that out of the quarterback position.
The special teams obviously had a big day, but I was wondering about the two kick returns they had. Were there any concerns from that, or were those penalties definitely a big part of letting those plays go?
There's always concerns. I mean, the penalties talked about one guy. There's 10 other guys on the field, and so we did take a long look at those plays because there is things to clean up, and that was there could have been two huge plays. One's a punt return, one's a kickoff return that would change the game, and so we dove into those and actually addressed a lot of it today.
Coach, I know you're so focused on the day-to-day, but if you step back and look at where we're at with this rivalry right now with COVID and no fans and kind of the history of it all, you obviously played in this, you've coached in it. If you step back, I mean, how would you describe the backdrop and the setting and everything this game's going on? It's got to be one of the more weirder games.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Really just specific to, the fan engagement. We'd love to have Beaver Nation here on Friday and playing in a big time rivalry game. At the same time, I feel grateful that we're headed toward being able to play this game in 2020 and having a really good team come in here to see where we stack up and challenge us. And so, it's definitely different. I think all of us get that, but I'm grateful to be able to play in it.
There are quite a few in-state guys in playing prominent roles for you this season. As a coach or a player, do you remember the guy that on a team, on one of your teams, that this game meant more to than you've ever seen?
I don't know if I got one that stands out. I definitely think it means a ton to the guys that come from this state because they grew up watching it and living it and whatnot. But not one single guy comes to mind.
Jonathan, Oregon began the season. Whoops, sorry. I'll come back.
Okay.
And Jonathan, you mentioned on Saturday that you guys still aren't playing your best football yet. What are like 2 or 3 things that you guys have kind of been preaching the past few days after the Cal win?
Right. I think obviously offensively, we can continue to work to have better balance, and that's run to pass and taking steps in the passing game. I do think that in the passing game in general, we did make some strides. Again, the way the game was going and running the ball, Coach Linger did a great job, I thought, adding some creativity to the play calling to get some plays there. So, but we still got steps we can make in the pass game. For sure. I mean, even on special teams, like we talked about, these 2 huge returns that were called back, but there's still some plays there. Again, a punt, I think, went about 25 yards, and so we're tightening up some of that. And then defensively, again, we want to create some more turnovers. We got the 2 that changed the game, and we want to build on that number.
This was the 3rd time you guys have won a game when you were trailing in the 4th quarter, and I suppose that's an evolution of a program. But what's the next step for you guys?
Look, I mean, you win the games in the 4th quarter. I look at our 3 games in this season. Every game was within a score in the 4th quarter, and so you got to play your best at the end of the game. Obviously, we're not trying to just ease into it from a slow start standpoint, but I do think we got a program and a group of players that are going to fight for 4 quarters, understand that these things are going to be competitive. I mean, we talk a lot about it. It's not easy to win. We talk about it a bunch, and when you play good people, you got to play well for a long period of time, and definitely at the end of the game.
Well, wanted to ask you a couple things about the 2000 Civil War or Oregon game, I guess now it is. What do you remember about the run up to that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think both teams were playing really well. Really, throughout the month of November, you could kind of see it going if both teams were taking care of business, which they did. Getting to that game of it's all on the line. A bunch of excitement, great crowd. Reeser was rocking. Noon kickoff, I believe, or 12:30, and actually it was decent weather day. The sun was out, cold, but the sun was out. And obviously had a bunch of great memories in the locker room after.
Was there a play or 2 that you specifically remember from that game that you just can't forget?
Yeah, Cookus getting a couple of picks. I remember that, and he still talks about it to this day. I think our first couple throws actually went for touchdowns. I remember that. Robert Prescott crossing the field. Robert Prescott inside. He had both of them early in that first quarter.
How big was Jay Cookus' celebrity in Corvallis after that game?
Yeah, it's always been pretty big, man. The guy's a legend. Roseburg winning state titles as a quarterback, and then he came to Corvallis and made those plays. So he's been a legend in his own right for a long time.
Hey, Coach, what makes
Oregon started the season with a new offensive coordinator, new starter at quarterback, and 5 new offensive line starters. What have you seen out of their offense so far this season?
Yeah, I thought they've been productive. I think they've played well. I think a scheme that features a quarterback with his feet and throwing it like they do makes it tough on defenses. I think the whole outfit, I mean, they got some receivers that can run and make plays. They've always been able to run the ball. So they've got some talent and a good scheme going for them right now.
Coach, looking at the rivalry, what do you think makes this one special or unique?
You talking about Oregon State or this particular game?
Yeah.
Well, I guess just in general, I always think about the proximity, 4 mile or 40 miles away from each other. That's different. Obviously, I was at Washington for 4 years, and Apple Cup was a great game. But, they're on separate sides of the state, and you don't get the interaction of a duck and a beef like that. And so I think it's a long history. I think it comes down to, the people in the state usually are either a beef or a duck, and I think that makes it a bunch of fun.
Coach, have you guys come up with a new name for this matchup, kind of trying to give it your own spin of things?
Haven't discussed that, and I'm leaving that to others to decide.
Well, hey, Coach. Go ahead. I was just wanting to know the 4 guys that were out with COVID. It's been 2 weeks today, but we don't see their names showing up on the depth chart. Any update on those guys? Yeah,
we're going to kind of see those guys throughout this week of practice, and then make a determination kind of where they fit into the depth chart.
On that note, how did Sandberg come out of that game with the injury, and Ham and a couple of those other guys who were banged up?
Yeah, both those Ham and Sandberg, and actually Skelton all practiced today, and so trending in a good direction there for Friday.
Anything new on Gums?
No.
Wanted to ask you about one of the in-state guys, Noose. You gave him, I think you gave him a scholarship last year. What convinced you to do that?
Well, he was playing well, and he's actually really respected on this team because of his work ethic, how much he's improved. It means a bunch to him. He played a bunch of center last year. He's moved over to guard and played well for us this year. And so that's always one of the better things about my job is guys that, come in here, are paying for things, and then work really hard and earn scholarships. And he definitely did that.
Did you feel like Saturday the passing game took a step forward from the week previous, or are there just some issues there that are taking time to work out?
No, I think there's some steps. Again, we've got a few more steps in front of us to take, but some of it, you look at the limited amount of total plays we had. I think we ran 50 plays. They ran 88. You look at the time of possession. So those things, if we stay on the field longer, we got more opportunities to move up, take a step in the passing game. And some of that was quick strikes, right? I mean, the first play of the game, and Jamar houses it from whatever it was, 80 yards out. You're not going to have a time possession. And then I think it was 2 series later, short field, we hit Teagan on the first play for a touchdown. It's like, so there were some steps made, but we want to continue to improve in that area.
You guys have kind of had that time of possession discrepancy in every game where you're running 15 to 30 plays less. Have you just kind of pinpointed why that is? And is there a number that you'd like to see that improve to?
Yeah, again, we're not starting the game thinking about time of possession, but I know if we convert more third downs offensively, we'll possess the ball longer. And if we get off the field on third down defensively, we'll get the ball back and have more time of possession.
Jonathan, with your success running the football this year, and given how Oregon really struggled stopping the run against UCLA, I'm guessing this is a matchup you really like going into the game Friday, right?
I mean, I'll say this, what UCLA was doing offensively is dramatically different than the way we run the ball. They came in, I mean, Chip did a good job in regards to designing some stuff. It was tough to defend. I mean, they're running the option, unique formations. That's quite a bit different than the style we try to run it. So I know, looking at our first 3 games, I got to think they're going to be preparing to be able to slow Jamar down and wanting to do that. And so we got to be able to play some balanced football to have success.
Coach, this was the game last year that was kind of the last chance you guys had to make a bowl game. I know you don't really need any extra motivation going into a rivalry game, but is that something the guys have mentioned at all, that this game kind of kept them from reaching that bowl game last year?
Yeah, not a ton, and definitely not recently, the last day or two as we get prepared. I mean, look, we definitely want to learn from our experiences last year, coaches, players that returned. But again, the approach we take is each week. We know we got an opponent on Friday. We want to prepare as well as we can for that and let it all hang out.
Jonathan, this will be the obviously the first time Tristan's played a team he's actually started and played against. From your experience as a quarterback, did you find playing a team a second time, did it matter much, even if the personnel's a little different? I
mean, it's a two-way street. I think there's some benefit because they're, the same coordinator over there. So you're anticipating seeing some similar pictures of coverage that you saw in the first one. At the same time, they've seen him now and played against him for a game, and they'll have some adjustments and different ways of attacking him.
You mentioned on Saturday that Josiah might be your guys' best special teams player. What exactly does he do intangibles wise that kind of makes it that way?
His effort, like when we're punting the ball, he's out there in a gunner and he's making at least the returner change direction. His effort there has been awesome. And then on punt return, you see him show up pressuring the punter. And even times when we don't ask him to rush the punt, and he's blocking for our returner. And he's got the capabilities of being a returner. Haven't done it this year, but he's done it in the past.
Who are guys from past teams that you would kind of give that same characterization, the best special teams player?
Oh, sometimes it's, different roles and things. I mean, Ham early in his career was great on kickoff, running down and making tackles. And oftentimes younger players, their first opportunity is on teams, and guys that stand out on teams often find their way to being starters on offense or defense.
Ham healthy after the last game, Coach?
Yeah, he moved around pretty good today. He was. Thanks, guys.